Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy Alex Rodriguez here on another motivational video. Today, I just want to talk about thriving in the COVID-19 pandemic. I just wanted to let that sink in, even as I said, thriving in the COVID-19 pandemic. Um, and I just want to give a rundown of different things that I'm going to discuss. Um, so, I'm going to talk about consistency and also dealing with loneliness amidst the pandemic, but also talk about different things that I learned about in my life and different trauma that I experienced during the pandemic and things that I brought up about the past too. Um, but I also want to say, some of these things may be sensitive, so I'll have sensitive information, but I'll try my best to conceal people's identity and different things that I feel like I can't really be fully transparent about. So essentially, we are in the middle of a pandemic. Can you say the word pandemic? The last time there's been a pandemic of this type of magnitude, it was the influenza pandemic of 1918. I believe, and you have to fact check me on this, but I know it was more than 10 million people, might have been 15 million people that might have died, somewhere between 15 and 40 million. But and I know right now the worldwide deaths of COVID-19 are actually at uh, 1 million, I believe, 250,000 throughout the United States. And it's been really unfortunate, a lot of the things that have happened. The people that have died, the people that have been infected, thank God a lot of people have recovered. And so my goal today is just to speak about what I've learned. And this is not in any way to diminish or to put down any trauma that people have experienced, as I've gone through my own healing and trauma, and any grieving that people are still going through. But my goal is to really teach people how to thrive in the midst of chaos, in the midst of adversity. And some of these lessons I've learned throughout my whole life and the trials that I've experienced and actually overcome. But some of these things I've actually haven't learned until the COVID-19 hit. At the COVID-19 coronavirus, right? In other words, SARS-CoV-2, which is the more scientific name for this virus. So essentially, this started out, I would say, in the middle of March, but really, it's probably been here before. And in China was where you could say the first epidemic hit. Then it went to Italy, and then it went to the USA. And so, it hit, I would say, the USA around February, March, but really, March was the decisive point, I believe, March and April, when it became a pandemic. When I came back to Syracuse, as I was at the Bronx at the time, uh, there wasn't a high infection rate, there wasn't a mortality rate. Both of those rates were really, really low. And so, essentially, they shut down a couple of different things, and I was actually supposed to talk or meet up with somebody. I eventually I want to go into the field of psychiatry, and I was going to speak to somebody about this, and then they shut down the meeting, and then they narrowed down meetings to like 50 gatherings of 50 publicly, and then 10 privately, and then finally they shut down basically everything. And I documented it. I think it might have been 8 weeks for Syracuse. So many different things transpired in those weeks. And Syracuse was taken off that list for the different regions of New York for the quarantine earlier than some other regions. I think we were like middle of the pack. There might be 14 regions, and we were like at one of the middle ones. I don't think we were the first, but then when we cleared those benchmarks from the state, we were one of the ones in the middle. And then towards the end, essentially, were the other ones that were released. So essentially, when I looked at these rates, I was reading the New York Times a lot, and every day they'll be like, 100 plus died, this many died, and the rate was climbing and climbing. And I don't know if it reached the max of 300 and 400. I have to go back and check. But even like one person dying is still a lot. Imagine like 100 people's loved ones dying a day, 200 people's loved ones dying a day, and it was just rising and rising. And then it hit hit the peak, and then it dropped. I think it was like mid April, early May when it started dropping. But amidst all of this, two other big things happened in my life. You could say two different trials. When you have any type of trial, it's usually the loss of something, be it a loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, a loss of a relationship. It's usually some kind of death, and it doesn't have to be a physical death. It could be an emotional death. It could be a mental death. It could be some other type of death. And so essentially, my grandma died. And so I got this call. It's early in the morning for me because I was sleeping in a lot. Wasn't working. I was quarantined, so I was taking the time to rest. I think it was like 10 or 11 a.m. And it was the first thing when I got up in the morning and I get this call. It woke me up. And, a couple minutes into the call, my sister said, my grandma died. And so I lost it. I just started weeping and weeping and weeping. And I just didn't know how to react. I wasn't expecting it. I knew it was going to come soon. I knew it was coming in a few years. But I didn't know that it was going to come that fast. And so I really wanted to take my time to grieve and to process things. And so I had conversations with different family members and loved ones. And it was a big loss. She's the matriarch of the family. And so I had a dream. Won't disclose too many details of the dream. It's very private and sensitive. But essentially, I know that I'm going to see her again. I know that when I get to heaven, I'm going to see her again. And it's not a fairy tale. This is not a figment of my imagination. There's a lot of things or different things that I doubt in life, and this is not one of them. I know I'm going to see her again. So a lot of my grieving process has more to do like on earth, like the implications of what this means on earth. Like, knowing that I'm never going to see her face again. Knowing that I'm never going to be able to speak to her again. Knowing that there's going to be a lot of things that I wanted to share with her, or milestones that I even wanted to make, even to walk across that podium and become a doctor, officially, a resident in psychiatry. She didn't even get to see the first one where I walked across the stage and I got my MD. But needless to say, and also this is the first of a series of videos, but a couple of weeks later, I get another call, same situation. I'm either waking up from a nap or I just woke up for the first time, and somebody called me, and my boy said, "Hey, Matt, this guy, Matt Moore died." I'll just say the name of the person, and I was like, "What? You're kidding me?" And so I know my life changed after that.